Gary Johnson then, pre-York away. Gary, you've been here a couple of days now. How steep has the learning curve been in terms of getting to know Cheltenham and all the players?
Well, when you come in to a new environment, you get a new group of players, and I've done it a few times, you have to quickly put your philosophy over. So that means you've got to be out on the training ground, you've got to be in the classroom, you've got to show them videos, you've got to show them their own previous games, you've got to show previous games that I've had that show the philosophy. And that's what I've tried to get in. So there's obviously been no days off for them and all that sort of stuff. And we've been sort of working probably slightly longer hours. And that's what you have to do. Now, I'm not just saying it, but I do feel that yesterday, after the sort of second little session that we had, that the penny had dropped a little bit. That's the first thing I need to see, that they're interested. And you see the whites of their eyes, and you see, you never get 100% concentrating, and unfortunately the ones that can't concentrate you can see in here as well as you can see out there, and they probably won't be involved very often. But it's a group that look to me like they've taken it on board, and now we need to see whether they can do it in a competition, if you like, when the opposition actually want to beat you up and they need the points as much as you do. But in 2 days, I don't think we could have done a lot more.
And did you see an improvement from the second day compared to the first?
Yeah, definitely, and that's what you have to see. That's what it's all about. But it's an improvement in their mental state as much as anything. We have to make sure that whatever happens, however good the regime was before, we've got to make sure that we up the tempo, we up the motivation, we up the physicality, and we just up everything, whatever it is. The food's got to be slightly hotter, and the place has got to be slightly cleaner, and the balls have got to be pumped up. Just those little things that create a little bit more of a winning environment, and it certainly makes the lads think that I've got to concentrate here because something's different.
Kane Ferdinand obviously ruled out for the rest of the season. How big a blow was that?
Well, I hadn't seen much of Kane, to be honest with you, and that was like the first session. He was unlucky that Varney and him, again we created that competition in training, and we created a game-type situation, scenario, and unfortunately they both clashed heads. So it's more disappointing for the lad. Obviously a young lad doesn't want to get a broken cheekbone this early in his career, but it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it, and I don't know if he's staying here or going back to Peterborough, but we'll wait and see when he's fit. Probably at the start of next season now for either us or Peterborough.
And you talk about players getting to know your philosophy. Is that a simple philosophy for them to sort of be able to pick up pretty quickly?
Footballers, it's got to be simple, isn't it? No, that's not fair. Some of them are quite clever. They have to be football clever, because you're giving them a lot of information in a short space of time. This morning we're going to be doing our set plays, and they're going to have 3 different corners, 3 different wide free kicks, 3 different long free kicks, where they need to stand from the goal kicks, against and for, how they react to the player opposite them. So they're going to have to retain some information, and you've got to be careful that you don't overload them, of course, but that's where the experience comes in. And as long as you're doing it in here and they can see it on the flip chart, on the video, and then practice it out there, hopefully they'll remember most of it. And if they do, then you go into the game with everybody pretty much knowing what the other person's thinking as well as what they're doing.
How difficult was it for you to look at what you had and then work out the best way to go with it? Because presumably you've got to have a system that's going to suit them as well.
Exactly. You have to put the round pegs in round holes. That's exactly what you have to do. And the good thing is there's a good staff here. They're all young, enthusiastic, and tried very, very hard, and have been very, very close. It's not been well beaten too many. It was only the last Plymouth game that was sort of a bit disappointing for everyone. Obviously some of the results, but they were all draws or got beat by the odd goal when you was already in the lead. So I've been able to have a chat with those lads mornings and afternoons. We got in early, we've left late, just to get a picture of what they feel is around and see whether that coincides with what I'm seeing, and then you move on.
York obviously a massive game because they're not clear of the relegation zone either. So if you could get something, obviously good. If you can get a win, even better, presumably. But just how do you sort of manage the expectation, the hope, so that the players are ready for all 7 games of the season and not just one?
Well, the old saying of one game at a time, how many times has that come up? But it is so true, because whatever happens Friday, yes, I agree with you, and the lads have agreed with me and everybody that this is a cup final for us. It's a big game, it's a playoff game, because we want to keep York in the mire with us, because we're hoping that 5 or 6 teams will still be in trouble by the time we get to the last 2 or 3 games. And that's how it's going to work out, because that's going to be the nature of the relegation area, if you like. So if we can keep them, if you can get a result, it keeps them in it. If you don't get a result and York beat you, then York are pretty much gone from your sights, if you like, and then you may only have a couple of teams, and you've got to keep teams in your sights so that you keep your confidence that you can still get out of it, and they keep worrying about teams behind them. Look at Hartlepool. Nobody worried about them 5 or 6 weeks ago. Suddenly now everyone's worried about them. Tranmere had a good little spell, now they're back in it, so they're worried about so we only need to beat 2 teams as far as get more points than 2 other teams. So we've only got to win that one more game more than 2 teams, and so that's easier than saying you've got to win 4 out of 7 or something, because you don't know what the other teams are going to do. But this is a key game because it is against one of your relegation rivals.
How can you ensure that, as far as possible, the players perform to their maximum? Because this is about getting sort of the most out of everyone at this time of the year, isn't it?
Well, I don't know the personalities enough. Normally you have a pre-season with a team and you know all their little nooks and crannies and their moods, and which ones handle a cuddle and which ones handle, what they call it, hairdryer treatment, whatever it is. And some react to, they all react to different ways of teaching them things and giving them things. But we got to pick the group that understands and feels the position that Cheltenham are in. Some won't feel the position that it's in. Now, when I get into a club, suddenly that becomes my club. I want to do everything I can. I treat it like my family. And, even though I've been here 5 minutes, I desperately want this club to stay in the Football League, and that's what we've got to put over to the lads, and then that will bring out hopefully the competitiveness in them, the spirit in them, and the going beyond the call of duty in them. Now, all these are words, and I could have easily been reading these things out of a book, but I have seen. I don't know what the result's going to be tomorrow, but I have seen a group, some of them, that you could select that are going to give you what we're going to need. Now, whether the quality's there or not, we'll have to wait and see. But certainly at the moment, we're coming out over that hill. We're going to war screaming and shouting, as opposed to coming over singing and dancing and tiptoeing and going to get beat by the opposition. I feel like we're going to go over that hill and let them know we're around.
You had a couple of players away last weekend, or Russ had a couple of players away on international duty. Have they come back okay?
Yeah, we all said a little prayer, the staff, that Wes and Will would come back unscathed, because they're 2 good players. They're both very good at what they do. We've got a goal scorer in Wes, and obviously Will has shown that his competitiveness and his heading ability and his athleticism is needed. So yes, our prayers were answered, and they both came back okay. We've had to look after them, wrap them up in a little bit of cotton wool. Wes came in yesterday, and Will's not in till today, so I haven't really seen him yet. But he's got that natural competitiveness, Will, anyway. So if you did want somebody that didn't need to be here for 2 days, he might have been that one, because he seems to be doing those sort of things naturally. And
everyone else okay apart from Kane?
Yeah, everybody's okay, and new start, new manager, and new regime, and most people look like they wanted to be a part of that. Now I've got to let a few down. There's 24 players here, whatever there is, fit, and I can only start with 11, and at the moment it looks like that at least 22, 23 of those 24 want to give it a right go. So I've got to keep them going. So we're going to take the whole squad up to York because I want them all to feel involved. And I want them to be, even if they're in the stands because they haven't quite made the team or the bench, at least they will be a part of whatever we're going to be doing up there for when they're needed. So we've had to ask the club if they wouldn't mind an extra couple of rooms, putting out an extra couple of rooms, and as I'm a new manager, they've given me what I've asked for.
Thank you. Good luck.
No problem.
How much